Oh my God, boys. We are officially dealing with a fucking Sam Scram.
This week on the Squatchers Lounge podcast, David and the Reverend Jeff take a look at the European wood woes. Just what the hell is it, and why do people talk about it in regards to Bigfoot? And as usual, we'll be bringing you some news and some other stuff, and we'll probably start late because that's how it's gonna be, goddammit. I hate you, real life. Now I'd like to turn it over to the one of us who can actually be on time for something. The Reverend Jeff Kelly.
Doc, what do you mean? I foresee two possibilities. One, coming face to face with herself 30 years older would put her into shock and she'd simply pass out. Or two, the encounter could create a time paradox, the results of which could cause a chain reaction that would unravel the very fabric of the space-time continuum and destroy the entire universe.
That's right. This is the Squatchers Lounge podcast. I'm your host, the Reverend Jeff Kelly, and over there is the greatest announcer man in Squatchers Lounge podcast history, the Dr. David Battorf, pseudoscientist. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I was assuming that we would actually be more late today when I did that intro, but then I realized, no, we're actually an entire day late from when we said we were going to be. So,
there you go. You're covered one way or the other. Happy Back to the Future Day. That's right. This was the date that Marty McFly went into the future. It was October 21st. 2015. Thank God it's over. Now the bullshit maymays can stop. Okay. However, they lied. I don't have a hoverboard. I don't have a flux capacitor that runs on friggin' Miller High Life rotten eggs and bananas. You know, I don't have flying cars, and I don't have a mayor named Goldie. I'm just a little disappointed. David, how are you feeling on Back to the Future Day?
And it's still difficult to come up with 1.21 gigawatts of electricity.
1.21 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts! Great Scott!
Great Scott!
What the hell is a gigawatt?
What the hell is a gigawatt? Well, I don't know what a gigawatt is, but we're going to start off with the news because that's what we do.
And now for the Squatchers Lounge News, bringing you the most up-to-date topics from across the interwebs week after week after week. The Squatchers Lounge Podcast. Let's get newsy.
That's right. Hey, thanks to treasuredmetaljewelry.com for sponsoring the show. As always, dude, I got my medallion hanging behind me here. It's a 50-cent piece of the year in my purse, solid silver, just like this little Mercury dime that's down here on a solid silver chain that is absolutely fantastic. You guys should definitely check out treasuredmetaljewelry.com. David's got some pieces from him as well. He sponsored the Silver Bullet Contest. What do you think, David?
Good pieces, good fun, good contest. We're gonna have to do it again.
Guy, he said after Thanksgiving, probably between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they're going to ramp it back up and try it again. So, on to the show. This week, incredible preservation of a 125-million-year-old mammal shows soft tissue and hair. And for once, they're actually not full of shit. Look at that. I mean, we could actually extrapolate this and kind of get a real idea for probably the first time what this animal looked like in whole.
Exactly. Like soft tissue. That's huge. Yeah, okay, it probably was a little bit mummified, not in the exact shape, but you can see if it had, fat build up here, if it had, amazing stuff. And the hair length is so key to being able to recreate these things. But you think about how many, these sort of like, rat or rodent-like mammals that were so early, like we extrapolate based on the skull what their snout looks like, but it's actually freaking there, right? Like that's pretty cool.
I mean, that's just one of the sickest discoveries we've had in a long time.
Yeah, and it really does kind of just shore up the prototypical look. Okay, it looks a little bit like everything kind of blended together. Perfect. This is exactly what you would expect to see in evolution, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah, exactly. So you can check that out, of course, at IFL Science. And while you're over there, now we've got proof. Fossils reveal that modern humans were living in China 20,000 years before we thought they even left Africa. That's a huge actual number, isn't it? I mean,
so what the different what they're talking about here is modern humans. We're talking about, the genetically modern people that we assume, came from one area and very contemporary. And that is huge because it shows that there was probably an actual mass exodus that was.
It wasn't one wave; it was wave after wave.
It was wave after wave, and it was but to be, and this is something I need to look further into. To be anatomically modern human or genetically modern human, there's some little bit of ambiguation there, but it would be totally false to think that we didn't have any humans over there when modern genetically modern humans left Africa. Let's just say that, when we think that they did, whether or not we're wrong, and it shows that we were there even in China 20,000 years before we thought they left. There were still at that time Homo erectus that left 2 million years prior to that.
Right.
So it's not that there aren't supposed to be upright bipeds there, and probably wave after wave for millions of years going, through India and into East Asia. But this is a really cool finding because it does kind of challenge a little bit of everything, and it challenges the genetic clock a little bit too. So definitely something to stay attuned to here. And again,
it's in a cave in China, just like the cradle of life in Africa. There's a cradle of civilization in China. There's a cradle of civilization in the Middle East, which is actually Baghdad. And, if you can find these incredible caves that hold the details to our past, a whole lot better picture to how we evolved is going to come to grips. Because when we were kids, evolution was still a concept. It was taught as Darwinism. It wasn't until the internet and free range of information began that people sought out more than that to understand evolution. Now we're getting it thrown down our throats almost every week, and I personally love it. So check that one out at IFL Science too while you're there. Not a hoax. Scientists may have discovered an alien superstructure. Now, I was offended by that title. Of course, it was clickbait. Everybody wanted it. But scientists can't discover anything like this from 500,000 light years away, period. All they're looking at is light anomalies. But let's get into it. Go ahead.
We're keeping this extremely simple and basically, careful about your clickbait. I mean, this is everywhere. This alien superstructure. It's made by alien. So what they've seen is an anomaly in a pattern of light that makes it look like there's something around a star. And now all of a sudden, everybody's, talking about science fictional Dyson spheres, which I believe it was first brought up in Larry Niven's Ringworld and then brought back into Star Trek worlds and other things like that, which is an interesting concept, for science fiction, and is based a little bit in science, theoretical physics maybe. But so here, this is the problem, is that all of a sudden all these extrapolations get put into a clickbaity article, and when you actually ask the astronomers,
right, what astronomers behind the discover the alien megastructure to find
quote alien megastructure, it's like, no, we didn't say anything about aliens. Somebody asked, and we say, well, we can't actually rule that out because we don't have enough data. Well, no, they don't know what it is, so they don't know what it. They don't even know what it isn't. Is basically all they're saying.
And for them to even find out, they would have to take a population.
Right? Is it aliens? No, it's just not anything that we can say it is, and we can't even say that it isn't something because we don't have even that level of information.
Right. For them to find out what it is, they'd have to put a population the size of New York City on a ship and head it that way and have them teach the next generation how to run the ship and breed and continue for 500,000 years for them to actually get there. So, 5,000 centuries from now, they'll show up at this thing to find out that it was just a dying star. all they have
by
are
which
light
time
anomalies.
by which time it's already gone because we're seeing it in the past.
Right. This is already 400,000 years ago or some flying, who knows.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what this whole thing is about. And it's just another one of those, please don't believe the clickbaity thing and try to find the article at which it came from, and you'll find out that nobody wants to interbreed or use a surrogate mother to bring Neanderthals back to life. They just said that we could, and I think I know how to do it.
No more alien anal probes. All right, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why are thousands of people disappearing from national parks? Okay, now the paranormal people. Yeah, Michio Kaku. No, that's actually an advertising. Sorry, he doesn't have anything to do with this.
Oh.
Thousands of strange missing persons cases, disturbing similarities in details in cases. They're saying that David Pilates, okay, has ruled out serial killers, which how do you rule out serial killers from every possible death in a national park? I don't know. But again, they're pointing to Bigfoot or similar type creature abducting humans in the wilderness, perhaps as a food source.
Ooh. Because all they have, well, obviously they also have pizza. All they have to survive on is human flesh. There's no other biomass out there.
It's Halloween. The creepies are coming out of the woodwork. So when you see stuff like this, don't believe the hype. Bigfoot's not kidnapping anybody. If he's eating them, it's just
Michio
because he's
Kaku
hungry.
is. I am positive.
Yes, he's out there abducting people. The views and opinions of the co-host and host of this show are not necessarily the views of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. Thank you very much.
I write my own book on that one.
That's right. And just to prove that we're not lying and crazy, Dingoes Ate My Baby is actually a real story. It's the heartbreaking story behind 9-week-old Azaria Chamberlain's disappearance. On the evening of August 17th, 1980, 9-week-old Azaria disappeared from her family's tent at Ayers Rock, which is now, that's the famous red rock out there in the friggin' back of the Outback. And if you look here, they don't even let people go camping like this anymore over there. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the dingoes ate this lady's baby. But when you hear us say, the dingo ate my baby, that's what this story is about. So you can go out to firsttoknow.com and find out about Dingo's Got the Baby.
Yep. I was actually just recently reading about canine fences in certain parts of Australia separating dingoes from domesticated dogs. Anyway, very interesting stuff. Apparently, there's a lot of dingoes out there.
Dingo ate her baby, that's for sure. Okay, moving on. David sent this to me right before showtime, but it's absolutely fantastic. Time travel resolves the grandfather paradox. What would happen if you were to go back in time and kill your grandfather? Well, a model using photons reveals that the quantum mechanics can solve the quandary, an evil foil quantum cryptography, whatever the freak that means. You want to explain that to me? Cryptography?
Cryptography? No,
right.
not in 2 words.
Yeah, okay, because that's a lot.
Yeah. But but basically, this is an interesting one. Definitely, I mean, you can look it up. Just look up grandfather paradox. It's a kind of a famous paradox. What if you were able to travel backwards in time, which actually is not really possible, and kill your grandfather? What would happen?
You can really only travel forward in time, right?
Yeah. Time kind of just does that one directional thing, and if we were able to bend time back on itself, which would take gravitational forces unknown to this universe. So maybe in another universe you could do that. But yeah, then you might be able to go back, meet your grandfather, kill him, and then what would happen?
We need to do this multiverse remote. That'll take us.
It would cause a rip in space time, maybe just to travel back in time. If you look at that loop-de-loop there.
Yeah, that would be pretty painful. So check it out, Scientific American, as usual. They've got great stuff.
Michio Kaku's there again.
That's right. Hey, check it out. Indiegogo campaign for crappy little dreams. You hear us talking about it. We post on it from Facebook. I like it. This is our buddy Craig Flippy. The guy's a character. He did the Bigfoot the Bigfoot DVD with Clifford Ekman a few years back. There was just Bigfoot Road Trip. Yes, it was a whole lot of fun. This is Yeah, this is his culmination of 10 years of making film documentary movies. He 10 years ago he went off on a moped trip for a month to try and find Bigfoot, and this is his 10 years looking back. And it's more than just a road trip. I mean, we've already seen Ninja versus Bigfoot. That's just a small preview of what's going to be in Crappy Little Dreams. I mean, look at this guy. He broke the moped back out. He's had this thing stored for 10 years. He's taken it everywhere with him, had it all souped up with the moped mechanic to make great movies just like this. And when I'm being a new dad, it's going to be awesome.
This is going to be, no, this is what we really should be funding right now. Everybody needs to go.
From Craig Flippy, Bobo Fay, or Cliff Barackman. That means on your outgoing phone message from your phone, you can have a voicemail from one of these guys.
Nice
That's
perks.
right.
I would choose Flippy.
I do, dude. For $2,500, you get to go Bigfooting with Bobo. And that's like, once you get to where they are, they take care of everything. Food, camping gear, travel to the woods, everything. All you have to do is get to where they are. $2,500, dude, that's cheap. You get to go Bigfooting with Craig and Bobo and God only knows who else will show. You know, Cliff will usually go along on those trips. Yeah, I mean, they've already got like a third of the campaign raised in just 3 days. There's 27 days left. Crappy Little Dreams. They're only looking for $7,000 to get this movie made because he'll do all the editing himself. That's how desperate he is to want to make this movie, and I want to be there to support him.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm totally down with this. I'm gonna have to click and do what I can. But yeah, 3 days, 39% funded, and no Michio Kaku.
And no Michio Kaku. That's right. I guess the ads on Indiegogo campaigns are a little bit different tonight. And finally, we want to say thank you to the men's soap company, Dr. Squatch Soap Company. Step in the shower, escape to nature. You can click on the button on their website at drsquatch.com and get you some of their soap. That's right, dude. I am just about all wrapped up. I'm finally using the last bar on the Grundle mix, and boy, I'm going to miss it if they don't sponsor us again. We'll have to find out real soon. But
Well,
check it out.
I'm on very last box right now. It's transferring upstairs. So it's been fantastic stuff. And man, that pine tar,
Grundle's never been cleaner.
I really miss, actually being slightly in pain. I feel manlier using that soap. I feel like I'm getting dirty and hurting at the same time in the shower, and that's
all
amazing.
While getting clean. Yeah, so check that stuff out at drsquatch.com. Thanks, guys, so much for sponsoring the show. Seriously,
awesome.
Okay, so now it's about that time of the week where we're going to hear from our new guy, the quasi theories of Mr. Dean Cooper. And now, quasi theories from a quasi scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
I am certain that the universe itself is intelligent and creative, from the highest heavens to the lowest atoms beneath our feet, from the beautiful form of a galaxy to the little whorls of a mouse's toe print. Creative intelligence is displayed. In ancient metaphysics, the one initial intelligence force was said to have become two, then three, and then many, while still being one force overall, with all forces sharing in that intelligence. When you get down to our level, the subsets of forces we encounter are less intelligent than cunning. The force I will discuss today is a small force, localized to your immediate vicinity. It is the force that ties a knot in the garden hose you just straightened out, that jams a spatula half upright when you go to open a kitchen drawer. You can tell when this force is activating. You brush your teeth. Then, when you bend over the sink to spit out the toothpaste suds, rise back up to see how white and shiny your teeth are, the medicine cabinet door is just a tinch wider open than you left it, so you bang your head on the corner of it. When the tears of pain subside a bit, you look at your smile, you see a little piece of spinach that was not there before you started brushing. Your coat pocket will snag on the doorknob on your way out, rip that pocket just a bit. You think, I couldn't do that on purpose if I tried a million times. Yep, it happened. Next, your untied shoelace, which you know you double-tied, will get caught between the door and the door sill as you close the door on your way out. This sequence of events is now beyond all likelihood of being random. A low level of cunning intelligence is implied, with a sense of humor of a clown with a pie in his hand. Then, You release a stream of invective so loud and vile that your neighbors slam their windows shut. When you squeeze your fist so tightly your door key draws blood from the palm of your hand, it will stop. For you have made a blood sacrifice. Bloody fairies were at work. You may read the text of this hypothesis on my blog, My Blatherings, at Baidin.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
Oh, there you go. This week's Quasi Theory from your buddy Dane Cooper. Thanks, man. Check out his blog for sure. Let's hear what our old pal Wes has to say this week. And now, Seeking Enlightenment with your old pal Wes. Brought to you by WesLosner.com.
There are no mistakes in life, only guideposts of self-discovery on one's journey to self-love. Unless you truly fuck up, because then you're just a dumbass.
Wisdom from your old pal Wes.
With infinite complaint, people went to and fro the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
Hello, fellow Squatchers Lounge listeners. My name is Shannon LeGros, formerly part of a Sasquatch-only podcast. I now have a new multi-topic show out called Into the Fray Radio. Turns out I'm even weirder than you thought. Subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher, and visit my website, intothefrayradio.com. Enjoy your lounge time, and a big thanks to the Rev.
Dude, she had David Pilates on the other day.
Nice.
I mean, it's not my cup of tea. His theories aren't. But, yeah, she had him on. It was a decent interview. You should go over and check it out at intothefrayradio.com and support our buddies out there. Shannon's doing a good job. She really is. She's going to get some big names out there. She's turning into a great interviewer. So support the love and friendship across the boards. Well, you know, it's time, dude.
What's time now for tonight's topic?
It's time for tonight's topic. What the f is a woodwoos? Okay, you threw this one at me the other day, and I'm like, okay, woodwoos?
No, what?
A wood a who? And
You
then I
did
started
what now?
Yeah, and then I start looking into it. Of course, as always, it just simply means wild man. You know, Yeti. Look at that.
We're getting a theme here. Yeah.
You're right. You know, the mystical figure that appears in artwork and literature of medieval Europe, comparable to the satyr or the faun type in classical mythology. You know, the Roman gods of the woodlands. The defining characteristic of the figure is the wildness. From the 12th century, they were consistently depicted as being covered with hair. Images of wild men appear in the carved and painted roof bosses where intersecting Ogie vaults meet in the Canterbury Cathedral. Hell, I actually read that, and I'm dyslexic.
Nice.
In positions where one is also likely to encounter the vegetal green man. And I did say that right.
Yeah.
The image of the wild man survived to appear as supporter for the heraldic coat of arms, especially in Germany. That's right. That little hairy fucker's on all kind of crests and shields all over Germany. As a matter of fact, I've seen it well into the 16th century. Renaissance engravers in Germany and Italy were particularly fond of wild men, wild women, and wild families. That's right. Get the whole little wild bastards out there with you, with examples from Martin Schroninger.
I'll take the wild women.
That's right. I ain't going to pronounce the other guy's name all the way up to 1528, amongst others. So there you have it. That's what Wikipedia has to say about the European woodwose. David, talk to me, buddy.
I'm going to probably use the same wiki here, but like just because they have so many of examples. So how is this depicted? What are the depictions? There are some very similar things going across, whether it's the coat of arms or whatnot. It's a very human looking form. A lot of time with a long beard, long hair, body all covered in hair, and having this twisted club or a heavy-ended club.
There's a word for that. It's an Irish weapon, and I can't remember what the daggone name of it is. Somebody watching this will know it. You see a lot of Irishmen use them as walking sticks, but they're not walking sticks. They're made to F a person up. So
yeah, it's definitely for the clubbing.
Yeah, it's the root of a certain type of bush, and I can't remember exactly what it is.
And the reason for selecting this type of weapon is that it doesn't dry and break in the way that others
right.
do.
You can beat the living crap out of this thing, and it just takes more.
Yeah, it's fibrous enough to where it does bend a little bit, but it also like semi-petrifies once you get it out of the ground. Anyway, so this is a known kind of a thing, you know. Okay, so yeah, Sasquatch could have it here, but then there's also these. Let's see if I can get this to get a little bit bigger here. These great depictions of this gigantic version. Again, here's this kind of root weapon versus a knight.
Yeah, but remember that knight was probably like 5'2".
Yeah, well, that's fine, but this is still probably 7 or 8 feet tall. Yeah. This is this gigantic form, but again, he's got the long beard, he's got the long hair, but he's just a little hair around there, and definitely fighting weapon to weapon, mano a mano, if you will. Yeah, there's a lot of other kind of representations here, but I just thought there were a couple good quick shares on that one. I think I think what's really important here. It's not giving me the stop screen sharing option here. There we go. One of the really important things to kind of think about is the why would they make this depiction? Is it simply that they're trying to make a human look wild? I mean,
that's very rare. I mean, artists usually base something in truth to begin with. He might not have been 7.5 or 8 feet tall, but he was most definitely covered in hair. Whatever the report of that actual event would have been for the artist to redepict would have included a hairy human of some sort.
So let's talk about the two options for what we have going here. We have either they're taking something like the depiction is taking something that is human and trying to dehumanize it, or it's taking something that is not human and anthropomorphizing it. So I've seen this argument made before, so I'm just going to throw this up here. Food for thought. If you look at Linus's anthropomorpha, none of these are human. These are the chimpanzee, the monkeys, orangutan. This is not. This is the depiction that he brought back to the kings, right? After he went through, this is what I'm seeing out here. Actually, this is goodness, what is it? There's the Pygmaeus, which this is a monkey, as much as this maybe looks not like a monkey. This Simia satirus, the satyr, with this large teeth being held up here. This is a monkey as well. Then there's also Homo lucifer,
Homo devil,
and Homo troglodytes. Okay, so this right here is a chimpanzee, because they actually took that and applied it back to what they. But if you really look at this picture here, this is a chimpanzee. So what he's done is he's really over anthropomorphized the ape versus the other way, trying to dehumanize the other form or leave open many other things. Which way are they going? Are they trying to describe something as a larger than life dehumanized human, or is it a human looking, because they didn't know how else to draw it, version of something that's large and ape like?
Right, because in the 1600s that we know of, there is no record of a large primate that lives in northwestern Europe, I guess that is.
Well, and some of these depictions go back to the 1300s. Like they go back along when the Dark Forest was probably actually a dark forest in Germany and whatnot.
And we're talking, that's 700 years ago. How many things could have died out and gone extinct between then and now? Of course, there very well could have been wild men living in those woods at that time that are no longer available for us to find and haven't been for hundreds of years.
So a lot of, I mean, I'm just going to go totally wild tonight because, why not? Thinking about depictions of these things, whether or not they're historical, whether or not they're stories that came through, but if there's a kernel of truth, and we always try to find what is the kernel of truth behind all of this stuff, could this be reference to relic populations of Neanderthal and some of those other things in an area such as what we're talking about here, like, looking into like the Altai and yeah, okay, so that's a possibility too. East Asia, not a lot of Neanderthal. So as we're talking about different things, it's really important to kind of disambiguate what we're talking about there. But and we can do that
because
best.
It's always been so wet and cold and just yucky in northwestern Europe. It wouldn't have been a place to have been chosen by lesser than human ancestors, I would think.
Well, yeah, especially at the times, and we're talking about times that go all over the place. But this is, so here we are. Let's look at Europe really quickly, shall we? And this is again looking at Europe today and Africa today. Not, we obviously know that a lot of things we were just talking about, the human migration, got down over here under the the Tibetan Plateau and the Himalayas here, like to China, way over here, 20,000 years earlier. And so this whole desert thing was probably not as impassable as it seems now for cultures that hadn't evolved there originally. Okay, so if we're looking at this whole Germany area, like over here in Russia, we've already talked about how we love this area, where they find the Denisovan folk, and all that, everything coming back this way. We really don't. We have, some of the admixtures around this area of Neanderthal. And really, it's this Iberian Peninsula that we're kind of focused on for the last holdout relic populations of the Neanderthal. However, we don't see them there. But what if, this is one of those what ifs.
What if
there were some older stories that we know that there were populations up here, but we just, maybe that's where the story comes from. Maybe that's the differentiation between Woodwose and Sasquatch. I always think Sasquatch is probably closer to Yeren than this. If you're thinking about the glacial cycles and what was available where, but we also did have very large apes, about orangutan sized up in this kind of, in Turkey and other areas. So this is really an area where, okay, well, we did have large apes here. Is that something that's historical? But we also had our closest cousin. Is that something that's historical here? And did we use the hair because it was appropriate? Well, we've pretty much figured out that we've lost our hair prior to our split with Neanderthal. Or was it used to differentiate the Neanderthal? Maybe they were slightly hairier because of being in the northern climes, and a recessive trait comes back or whatnot. And that was something that they really keyed into to show that they were different. Interesting, totally bullshit postulation there, but right. That's where I go with the Woodwose and the wild man and this kind of tool using bearded, long haired, which we know are both traits of modern type humans that we can also espouse to Neanderthal. When you're looking at those depictions, it's either that or it's just anthropomorphizing people who lived in the woods because they lived in the woods and they were not as civil. They didn't abide by the cultural, sociological, and political rules of the time.
That becomes right. The other side of the coin then is it just simply a feral human, someone who covers themselves in animal furs, someone who wears fur on their boots, someone who's got a long hair, long beard, covered in fur, attacking you with a wooden weapon, in the woods. In our day and age, those types of things are unheard of. However, that's not all that long ago when people still lived like that.
700 years ago when these stories came out, that was right. Probably a logical potential.
Right.
You know?
The world's population couldn't read until about 50 years ago under regular basis. In the last 50 years, literacy has exploded upon the world when it was something that was never there before. That's going to change, evolution as it goes as well. But those people back then didn't have anywhere near the advantages that we have now.
No, but they did have advantages and disadvantages. If you think about, the wild man living off the land, using probably pretty much what we would consider Stone Age tools, because they're probably not refining metals out of stone, and they definitely don't have boutique swords and armor that the aristocrats of the
those
time
were very,
had.
very expensive, right?
And it's quite possible, like with the way that we used to view things, that people would go out, quote, hunting these woodwos, if you will. To take the wild man would be kind of the ultimate thrill for your old Germanic hunter.
But they used to hunt poor people too, so that doesn't really surprise me.
But basically that's what I'm kind of saying. In like 700 years ago, in those times, that might be like what I'm always looking for is, what does that depiction mean? And the more likely scenario to me means that it's trying to dehumanize a human, and that human possibly could be using those clubs. Maybe it's an English slur on the Irish. I don't know.
That's one of the things that I was also just starting to think in the back of my head here, going, that very well could be a damn English slight to the Irish, the bastards that they are. Anyhow, on the 6th day God rested. Or on the 7th day, God rested. On the 8th day, he took a crap, and out came England. Sorry, did I just say that out loud, guys? I didn't mean that out, Richard. England's a good place. It was over.
It's all right. We're
Boy Racer. He just about lost his lid. It was kind of funny. Anyhow, So the wild man of Europe seems to be that thing, though. Russia, the Russian Yeti, leans more towards a relic human type of population. The claims of the gray man in Scotland would be the same type of a feral human type of description. Again, maybe dehumanizing the humans enough so that they don't care that they're eradicating the poor people who can't afford a dwelling or put a roof over their head of any sort.
Yeah, but it also, like I say, there's a potential that it could be like a mythological nod to relic populations of the Denisova, or of these stories. It's just like modern day Bigfooting. So every stick that breaks in the night is a Bigfoot. Well, every stick that breaks in the night is the memory of the Woodwos, and is that where is the kernel of truth to that story? A very interesting thing. The Green Man seems to be a little bit more benign and benevolent, but only in its modern depiction, because everybody wants to be quote green and this, that, and the other. Whatever that means exactly. I think the bottom line is that there is a kernel of truth to the Woodwos. But you have to look at it from multiple angles. And there's so many people, touting it as, this is Bigfoot. And for me, getting a Woodwos to the Americas is difficult. Getting something that came to the Americas to Europe, not difficult. So could that be the same thing? Yes, it could. But more than likely, based on the depictions, this is talking about something completely different, and probably has nothing to do with a large, hitherto unknown or undocumented ape in the wilds. And this is probably actually a wild man, and it's probably somewhat derogatory, and we may or may not ever really figure out what what really went down.
Exactly. And before everybody gets upset, let's talk about the wild man that was seen in Canterbury. We were just talking about them on the cathedrals. That was where the title came from tonight. You can go through lots of places in the cathedrals of England and you'll find depiction of the hairy man everywhere. And that's not something that was made up. So that's where the title came from of tonight's show, was the hairy man was spotted in England, in Canterbury, in the cathedral.
It is true. I mean, there are quite a few old depictions, and there are quite a few references. You know, and where those begin is the question that we need to start with, and then start working backwards from there. Because I don't think that honestly, I don't think, as many times as I've heard that the Woodwose or the Green Man or all these things brought back into the Bigfoot, you know, Bigfoot pile, the big pot that we stir everything into. Anything that's not human, or if it's hairy and it walks on two legs, we'll just put it in the Bigfoot pile. I don't think that has anything to do with that. And there's some more interesting history there, and we need to figure out what it is, because I think it's less metaphor, like, so, you know, some of the native stories you have to read through the metaphor to find the truth. I think this is less metaphor and more there's more truth, like exacting truth to this, with the way that it's depicted, because we were really documenting things well at the time, you know, but maybe like Linus was documenting his apes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And if you remember the opening scenes to Gladiator, the Germans weren't depicted as being very intelligent people, so the hairy Woodwose on their shields and their banners may just be something they made up as well. Anyhow, last week we had we weren't on the air, but we did have Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly. That's right, and we actually covered Bigfoot wars. Can you believe that crap, dude?
Got a license for that? They're giving away paperwork for illegal firearms these days.
Who said I'll take that away from you right now and lock you away in a cell?
Yeah, I reckon you can have it if you can pry it from my cold dead hands.
That's right. C. Thomas Howell, the coolest dude on the planet. Well, not really, but he was trying. I heard like 5 audio edits just in that one little bit. So, woo! That's how much fun we had on Bigfoot Entertainment. I put a new Bigfoot Campfire story up today at noon, so make sure you go and check that out. We'll be back again Monday night with Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly. It'll be the Halloween edition, and we're doing Dear God, No. Talk about a grindhouse flick you will never forget. If you can get a copy of it, watch it. It's a very difficult Bigfoot movie to find because of the subject matter of a murderous gang on a rape crusade across the South. That's right. Wow. That's the kind of Bigfoot movie we're talking about this week on Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly. Let's wrap this sucker up tonight, buddy.
Put the gore back in gorgeous.
Oh, this is the most gory scene in Bigfoot movies I've ever seen. This is going to be a fabulous Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly. I'll put another Bigfoot Campfire story out if you guys like it and share it and it gets enough views in the next couple of days. I'll put one out for the weekend. And we want to say thanks for watching the show tonight. We'll be back again next week, most likely on Wednesday night at 8, but that's why it's a podcast. Thanks for watching, and may the Squatch be with you.
That's a really creepy picture in the background, by the way.
Yeah, dude, it was the creepiest picture I could find for the Woodwose. I don't know what he's doing with the naked white chick. But, you know, it's into the racing, baby. I'm not really sure. The internet's a wonderful place. Next time we'll be talking about one of the good Bigfoot towers. Grab a video off YouTube and light it up, real or not, on the next Rogers Live podcast.
Real, not real.